Welcome back. You've made it through some videos, some footage. Today, this is what we're going to be doing. Harness. This is pretty important because if you don't have this conversion harness, you ain't getting anywhere but maybe a handful of wires and a wire stripper and some butt connectors, and that probably will not end up in a good time. I know it will not end up in a good time. So pay someone to make you a harness. If you can't pay someone, I'm sure you can really repin it and re-engineer it. But at that point, if you have the means to do that, then you probably have the knowledge to make a better harness. And that's why you're making a harness from the get-go. So kudos to you, bro. Kudos to you. We're going to put this in. I'm going to go over as much as I can. Their directions from Hybrid they have are pretty good. You should read them. They tell you to read them twice, because when you read them twice, you get an understanding the first time. The second time, you get a better understanding. I'm probably gonna read three or four times for me. My brain's kind of slow, so let's get to it. First step to the harness game: look up I think I already talked about the install guide. Well, we're at the install guide, so I'm gonna show you. You should be familiar with your plugs first of all. Your plug, you should always be familiar with the plug you're working with. Alright, so they have it labeled online. I mislabeled this one because the one they had was blue in the picture, and then I realized, oh, this is the C101 connection. So that's that one. This is your C302 connection. And this is your E plug. So there's some different things. This is your O2 sensor plug, O2 sensor relay, and your OBD2 or whatever data port so you can read your codes. So that's what comes in that kit, harness kit. The first step after you've read the instructions and you've found out what your plugs are, you also should have this harness off the motor. That's like imperative that you get this with the motor. If you don't, then source one, because otherwise you're in for a treat, I'm sure. Step 2, step 1, step 1.5, whatever. Remove the battery tray, which is gone. I already took it out. And for more access, I take the fuse panel out as well. And that just gives you ultimate access. We'll just swing them over here. Perfect. Cool. We need this right here. Out. Come on. There's an inner seal on the grommet. I think I got kind of a weak screwdriver here to do this with, but you can kind of see that inner seal. That's what they're wanting you to get out, so you can cut it. This thing is really folded up in there. Okay. Whew. That's free. So they want you to slit there so that you're able to put this portion of your harness, because it's going to go to the ECU, into the car. So I'll make a cut there. I've just fished through my cables from my Kswap engine harness, and I'm just kind of pushing them through, honestly, because I don't know. I couldn't see anything. I'm assuming it'll just run straight down, but it almost feels like it goes this way and then in. So I'm just going to see what I can do here and see if I can get any play. But I'm feeling straight down. I don't feel anything. I really don't know what they're talking about in terms of shove it right through the firewall and just fucking pay dirt, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I was supposed to take it this far or not, but I couldn't get the harness to drop below the firewall. There's like a space you can kind of see here. There's, it vertically goes down. And then on the inside, you can see how much space. I didn't have space to get between the HVAC stuff. I mean, I probably could have really tried and shoved it down in there. Didn't really want to rip any wires out or anything. I took it out. I took everything out. I took the whole car apart, why not? Why not? I knew that I had to cut the actual tunnel for the shifter linkage, and I knew that I wanted to clean the carpet. and I knew that I had to shampoo the seats. So what did I do? And the fact that I had to take the HVAC out to get the cables, or not the cables, the wiring harness through, no brainer. Pull everything out. Started this process as like the wiring guide. Forgive me, my allergies are busting my ass right now. I got the interior out in the process. So I was trying to find out, or just decide the best way to go about cleaning the interior. Couldn't really come across a choice that I really wanted to do. Like, I really don't feel like wiping this whole inside down. It's filthy. It's got dirt everywhere. I mean, you can tell the car was definitely probably used to get to work and stuff. These are new to me. These are like some Chainsaw Massacre Ripper type whatever theme. And then I don't know that that's normal, the eyes or T's or whatever. Looks kind of cool, kind of spooky, kind of demonic. I'm gonna let it slide. But I'm gonna actually have to fix that for sure. I have to get some strap, weld that. This side, holy cow. They were running from someone. But essentially, I'm gonna pressure wash this whole bay out. First, I'm gonna vacuum it. I'm gonna bag up my steering column here, all this wiring here, and then I'll get a really good, clean from, I'll use some degreaser, and then after I degrease it, I'll rinse it out. And the nice thing is there's holes in most of the areas, and if not, I can take a rag and just move the water so it'll drain out. It's Arizona, it's hot enough, it'll dry, whatever. Send it, something like that. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing. So I'll probably set my tripod like right here, and then just time lapse the rest of this. So enjoy.
Glued to my phone, waiting for a call. I'm so long, I'm so long, I'm so long, I'm so long. You never feel me, I am not alright. People never hear me, I am not alright. You will never feel me, I am not alright. Last say word, I am not alright. Standing on the bridge with wonders on fire. Jump into the lake of fire. This is my last.
Turned out pretty well. I do want to go over the bay again with more of an interior spray, something that's not so heavy, smelling wise, so I can get in there and really get in and fine clean it. I want to get these door panels and stuff so that pretty much like all the old dirt and smell and grime of this car from the last 20 some years is gone. Since I have it out, since I have to replace, or not replace, but weld these shut, I'm gonna leave the carpet out for now. Today I'll get further along the actual harness install. Let's start from our orientation here. So this is your hybrid harness. This here are your K-series connectors, and I already have some stuff plugged in. I'll kind of explain. And then this is your old harness from your old, D-series, or your stock harness. And this is, so this connector here with the green and red coming out, this is your D connector. And I believe, I don't remember what the green and yellow wire one was. I think it was A. I really don't remember the connector terminology they use. But here's that. All of their harnesses, all of their reference points are from the same position. So you can see here, this is 1, 2, 1 starting at the top left corner, 2 on the bottom, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. So I have the green and yellow coming off the 7 here. I cut that, trim that, and then I actually, you just follow the directions. So then you solder green and yellow to green and yellow, and that's from the E plug. This is the E plug that's provided in your actual kit, and this is how they look at their plugs. Like, again, you always want to reference the plug the way that they reference them, because if you look at their instructions, you're like, where's one? And then you get all lost, and you're like, this colored wire isn't even what they mentioned. And then you're like, okay, I found some common grounds. These are all the same stuff. This is all works. So once you got all that figured out, you have one on the top left here, and then you have 15, I believe, is what they rank the green red, which is coming out, and then you have green and orange in this bottom right hand corner, which is 31, and these all go to their respective areas. And they have the charging cable coming off a similar area of the e-plug, and the charging cable they mention comes off of the K series harness, and you tee into that. They use a vampire bite that they give you, and then butt connector with a certain connector on it, and then you just do that on that one only. They say explicitly not to cut it. Now from here, you have the C302, which is from your hybrid harness. I've labeled stuff so it's kind of easier to see. And then this comes from your K series harness. Plug these two together. Then you can plug this into your ECU. My primary O2. They mention also that you have to have a certain O2 sensor that's explicit to the RSX or the K Pro or the ECU that only works with this setup. So you need to make sure you have that correct part number. I don't even know if I have the correct part number, so great, more money. Then at this point, you take your I don't know what the number is, but it's the blue one, and you loop it over, and you can take it under the dash, and you can secure all that later. Over to this side of the vehicle, it'll have the large spool of wire with a large spool of wire, because that's going to go into your engine bay. All that spool of wire that you see sitting on the floor right there will go into the engine bay. Now, as far as locating where that plug's at, it was tough at first, but not really, because my dash was out. So with you guys having your dash in, it's going to be a little bit harder. Here's your 3 coming off that plug. I already have the plug plugged in, and you can't really see. Let me see if I can get you some, like in there you can kind of see the holder. There's a holster that you had to remove from the top here, back in there. It's nestled back in here. It's kind of sitting off of it, but you have to take that off in order to get that plug unplugged. Once you get this plug, this is really hard to show, unplugged, you can plug your new plug from your harness in. So you see the harness loops up and then goes right here. So that plugs in there. Easier said than done, because there's a lot of stuff in the way, and you can remove this kick panel, get on your back, lay on your back, probably take your seat out, get under there. You don't have to take all that out. The three wires coming out of that spool of the harness on your driver's side of the vehicle, you can push those wires through anywhere. I recommend having some sort of grommet so they don't get like cut up. I have some kind of sound deadener. It should be holding it so it's not getting cut. It just appears that it actually is getting cut, but it's not. The red and green wire that comes out of there, I'm sorry, red and black, will go to the red and green here. It should, or it looks red and green. I'm not really sure. Maybe this color, but this one will say brakes or ELD on it by accident. I think they just use a lot of the same spools, but mine said ELD, but this isn't the ELD. This is like the brake thing. I don't know. Maybe I have it wired wrong, but that's where I have it going to. This is where I was suggested to put this wire to. The yellow and green wire is your temperature sensor wire, I think is how they reference it. You have to get an adapter from K-Tuned or some kind of adapter. Forget the thread pitch to thread pitch, but that goes into this portion here, and then you put your thermostat sensor or whatever, some kind of temperature sensor in there, and that wire plugs into that, which is just like a little plug. And I took that plug and the sensor from another, like a B series, I believe. I pulled off a B series off an Integra, and you can use any D series or B series for that. Then they have your green and white here. You bring down to your fan switch, I believe is what they're calling this. And there's a plug that you get off of the Acura that I didn't get, so I had to go source one. But it's down and in there, if I can get it. You'll need that plug from the harness, and then you use the actual, I may have it all confused. That might be the temperature sensor or the fan switch. I really don't know, but both are related to cooling the motor down. Both are there. So that's that. In terms of wiring, those are the 3 that need to find homes for those guys. You also will need to actually extend your battery cable. You can kind of see that it's covered up right there. I had to use some really mega big crimps and some big crimpers for that. I can show you. I've located one. The place that I got it from is called CE Auto Electric. They're local in Arizona, so you can actually like do will call. Pretty affordable, good quality stuff. But here's one of those crimpers. Some thick boys. So that's what I've got. That's what I got to extend the battery cable. Once you've reached that point, this is where it gets kind of interesting for someone who hasn't messed with this stuff before, but is the K-Pro. I've never messed with K-Pro before, and this part was nerve-wracking for me because I don't like messing with flashing anything, because ECUs, batteries, ECUs can fry quick with one wrong move. So if you do the wiring wrong, you cross something up, you can really fry something. So you got to be careful. Remember that when you're doing this stuff. So make sure that your battery is charged, you know. Make sure you have a good charge on it. It may have been sitting while you've been swapping and you're just excited to start it, and you put it on there, and then you go to flash the new map that you just changed around for everything to work right, and your battery dies in the center of everything and it's ruined. ECU is ruined. But in the case that you do get to that point and you have a charged battery, you'll need a USB cable, 2.0 I believe. I got the Geek Squad on deck here. I don't know, found this old printer cable that my mom had. So you plug it in to your laptop. You should have K-Manager already loaded up. Sorry, it's kind of spooky shaky, but I got two hands and both are full. All right. Once you have that plugged in, your key's not in yet. You need keys. Keys not in. Let me get the software bigger on here. So once you have it, this is the problem that I had was I had issues with it cannot, I had online but ignition off, and when I turned the ignition on, I wasn't getting fuel prime, and I was not getting the ignition on signal on there. So well, I guess we'll just see. When I turn this on, you can kind of hear and see what happens. So that's good. This is the sign that you would want. You would want that little electric signal there, showing like yellow that you're connected, and that you have online and ignition on. And from there, they tell you to do a few steps. I believe it was like parameters. Sorry, damn chair is wobbly. Multiplexer, you want to disable it. Oh, sorry, you got to do new calibration first. And then go to a list here, and you can choose, there's a lot of them in the drop down menu. See if I can find my mouse. Click this guy, start scrolling. But there's a stock, the exact equivalent, so I have chosen that one, even though I've got an intake and a header. I'm not really worried about it, I just wanted to get it running. I can mess with that later. So I do that. And then you look at your multiplexer here, it's disabled, it's good, that's what they want. Another thing they wanted us to change was amongst, these are all your kind of things here, so we got our parameters. Okay, that's changed. Oh no, it's not disabled. We want it disabled. There we go, now it's showing disabled, damn it. I guess it doesn't, okay, anyways, I'm still learning this software, so bear with me. I really don't know anything about this stuff, so this is all the tuning stuff that I'm gonna have to learn at some point. So we got those, where? MISC, right there. Miscellaneous. There's an immobilizer on these ECUs, that's why you need the K-Pro in order to really get around that, so you uncheck that. Also, if this is your first time using K-Pro, you'll need to actually, I don't know about the ELD enabled. I need to figure out if that's enabled or not. But the purge system I disabled because I removed the fuel vapor, whatever that little dampener is. And I think you have to delete this because there's a little check valve and it's got a harness and it'll throw you a code. So I got that. Boom, boom, boom. Those are all disabled except for ELD enabled. I don't know if I'm supposed to have that enabled. There's some things it's like not super clear in the instructions, but this is what I have. Once you find those parameters that you change everything you need to change. This is where, this is the scary part, is you gotta make sure you have a battery, but you click that up arrow, which is like uploading, saving the calibration, fuel pumps kick on, you'll hear the relay kick up here, and then you'll have your new map. At that point, you can turn off the car, or not turn it off the car, but turn off the ignition, unplug that, and then you can go ahead and do your first fire. And it should sound something like that, hopefully. And the check engine keeps coming on. I don't know what it's for. I've been sorting through stuff. It's hot out. Bear with me. So that covers most of your harness right there. I mean, it's not super difficult, super strenuous, just very little knowledge of use. I mean, you could do it with butt connectors. I just soldered stuff because I like to do soldering where I can. But that's the hybrid harness install. If you have any other questions, there's one question that I came across that really bothered me is on the, I believe it was the A plug with the green and yellow. There's 2 highlighted in the actual PDF. 7 and 8 are highlighted, and that's because the EG hatch comes with 2 wires for the fuel pump or whatever. That's what that wire is for. And you can pretty much take them together, cut them both, and then twine them up into one, and then pretty much ground or put it to the green and yellow there, and that should be what you should do. But I just did one and it still works, so I'll fix it if it needs to be. Also, another thing I ran into with the harness stuff when I was like frantic why I wouldn't get ignition on when I would turn it on is because I didn't have a ground in place coming somewhere there's not a ground in my setup. I can't remember the relay, but it's a big brown one. They share the same as the EK. I swapped them around, and that's how I kind of got into the figuring out that it was the number 2, I think, cable, or I don't remember, but it needed to be grounded. I grounded it over here, and that goes up and over into here. Whatever this relay is right here, it's a gray boy. He gets bolted in somehow or another on this thing. Back in there. Sorry for the lengthy video. It's kind of one of those. It's got to be a little bit lengthier for the harness's sake, because it's not like simple stuff, but it's also not very hard stuff. So be patient, take your time, make sure obviously everything's like unplugged when you do it, no battery involved when you're cutting wires. I don't know, I guess I should have mentioned that earlier in the video, but I assume that you've got that and you're good at that. You're good. So like, subscribe, comment, follow me on Instagram. More projects coming out soon. There's all kinds of stuff in the works, boys.